Once again, Rivers United lost to RS Berkane 3 goals to nothing. Who should be blamed? The league or lack of talent in the MPFL? How about in Europe? Arsenal trash Wigan into the fifth round in the FA Cup. And you know what? Arsenal are still on the verge of winning quadruple this season. On that note, I'll say welcome to Sport Tour on Enterprise TV 7, where we give you all the latest on what is happening in the world of sport. If you are joining for the first time, please do well to follow us across all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. My name is John Olasukomi. Joining me virtually today is Daniel Ozege, making a return back to Sport Tour. Dan, welcome to Sport Tour.
Hello, many thanks for having me as always. I mean, it's always a delight to join you on the program. You know, I mean, sport keeps us healthy, and makes us happy. So someone like you who participates even in badminton will understand. You understand?
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you once again, Daniel Ozege. You know how we do on Sport Talk? We always start with local football because charity begins at home. Let's start with a CAF Champions League and, of course, NPFL. Rivers United suffered a 3-0 defeat to Moroccan side RS Berkane in their final CAF Champions League group stage on Saturday. Finidi George's team ended the campaign with 1 draw and 5 losses, struggling to create clear scoring chances throughout the game. This is an embarrassing result, I must tell you. I'm just tired of MPFL teams. These are the giants when it comes to an Nigerian Professional Football League, and they go out there. In fact, they've been disgracing us for the past 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons now on the continent, talking about CAF Champions League and, of course, CAF Confederations Cup. And now, how can you play 6 games, lost 5, and manage to draw 1? This is crazy. Daniel Ozege, is it lack of talent or inadequate league that we run in this great nation? What is the problem, Daniel?
Well, is the nation still as great as it once used to be? That's the question that we have to answer. First of all, you talk about the talent pool in the NPFL. We spoke about this a few weeks ago about the fact that we can't hold on to our talent. I gave an instance about they having a breakthrough season. It was top of the scorers chart by about 4 or 5 goals. But the money came from Europe and he left in January. You understand? Although I mentioned a certain Omar Mamouche playing for Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany, was the joint top scorer as of January, but but that was a good move because he joined Manchester City. That's one of the biggest clubs in the world, managed by one of the greatest managers in the history of football. You understand? And he's paid handsomely well. He earns over £250,000. I think it's on about 290 or thereabout weekly. You can't compare it to the peanuts that we jump at as Nigerian players. You understand? So we can't hold on to our talents because players are not well paid. Players are owed salaries. And the football career is very short. Let's not forget, we are from a country where, as a young boy, chasing a footballing career, you'll probably first, if you have an opportunity to go see through secondary school, maybe play Principal's Cup, Governor's Cup, whatever. It will take you another, say, 5 to 10 years of constantly training. If you are not very lucky, constantly training, going for trials. Playing German football here and there.
Don't talk about a struggle to even get kids. You struggle.
So at the end of the day, we know about the falsifying age factor. So these players maybe finish from secondary or graduate from secondary school at 16. Play football for another 8 years till they're 24. Now have to go back to their age of being 16 again. And playing in the NPFL for another 4 years when they are 28, claiming to be 20, you understand? And it will tell on the body. The football career is very short. So the reason why they brought the age back to 16 is because they know that at most they don't have more than maybe 18 or 20 years of a career.
Yes, of course.
Remembering that they were 24 at the time, so that means even in reality, their career will be over before they are 45. You know, so what then happens after 45? Because being a footballer after retirement, if you don't make so much money, there are certain things you can't do. You know, you can't apply for some certain jobs. You can't necessarily live a normal life. Apply for maybe a job as a clerk, for instance. You know, because I'm going to be like, you're an ex-pro. You're expected. It is an expectation worldwide that being a professional footballer after retirement, you should retire into riches. So the pressure is on them for them to go and get the money wherever it is. You know, so that's why we cannot retain our talents. And we know the issue about even the coaching. You know, how many of our coaches have a CAF B license, or of a CAF A license? You understand? And it's because they are not also well paid. I mean, they want to also increase their level of certification, but it's not cheap. As a coach in the MPFL, some of them get paid, 500,000 naira per month, 700,000.
Yes, of course. I agree with you on that one. There was a time. Sorry to cut you short, Daniel Zege. There was a time, like few months ago, a head coach of Remo Stars, Daniel Ogunmayede Jabo, came out and said some coaches in Tanzania have been paid over $1,000. That here in Nigeria, that we still see coaches that do collect below 1 million naira per month. And that's crazy. You
know, that's true. So that's why at the end of the day, when it's time for them to say, go for courses like this, they can't afford it because, I mean, I'm a single man, and I can tell you for sure that only on feeding on a the least I can spend to feed myself monthly is between 150,000 to 200,000. So imagine a coach who has a wife, has kids, and some of them can be like you have 3 wives, have 7 children. You have to send them to school. I mean,
are we still talking about the extended families? Come on, crazy.
There's free education in Nigeria, but it's terrible. Yes, so everyone wants their kids to have a private, school education because of the quality of education. So at the end of the day, would you prioritize, chasing a career over taking care of your family? You are torn between that because there's no the funds you earn is not sufficient enough. So I just feel that's a challenge. The fact that they're not well paid means that they can't get proper education, and kind of refresher courses as they are called. You understand? And there's also the issue with CAF. When you come in with a UEFA A license, they'll tell you that no, you still have to go for a CAF. It should be a way to harmonize these things. And look at it at the end of the day. We don't have Nigerian players playing for top teams outside of Nigeria on the continent. We don't have Nigerian coaches based sorted after. Pitso Muslimani, for instance, was coach of Mamelodi Sundowns in South Africa. He's a South African. At some point, he was coached by Alati, the biggest club in Africa. That's a South African man coached by the biggest club in Africa.
In Egypt.
From Egypt. Shortly after, he was also coached by a Saudi Arabian club. That's outside of the continent, in another continent entirely. A continent that they are trying to improve their football. So how many Nigerian coaches have you heard have been shortlisted for a job at Simba in Tanzania? Because you mentioned Tanzania. Or at
No, come on, damn it. There was a time Sunday Oliza was coaching one team in Netherlands. And we've seen Amunike too in Tanzania, the head coach of Tanzania Football Club. Come on, what do you mean? but I get your point.
These are managers that got these jobs based on their pedigree of their footballing career. These are players who are champions.
I agree.
These are players who won the Nations Cup with Nigeria.
Had a great career.
African Footballer of the Year. You understand? You can say maybe not a very fantastic career, but was He's a former African Footballer of the Year.
Yes, of
Won the
course.
award in 1994. You understand? Played for Barcelona, Spain. Odise played for Ajax, played for Juventus, played for Dortmund. Was one time captain of the national team. So those are the things
That end them
those are
the
what we
job as
leverage
at
on
then.
to get them to those kind of jobs. How long did they play in the MPFL?
In the
They,
MPFL.
they, 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 they barely played in the MPFL. None of these two managers you mentioned played for 3 years in Nigeria. Most of them were already playing abroad. You understand? Even before Nigeria featured at our first ever World Cup in 1994.
That's
You
crazy.
understand? Only was I think Amunike as of 94 went to the World Cup was playing in Egypt. You understand? Which is play abroad. The last Nigerian player who I can remember that was playing for a top African team and was a regular was Junior Ajayi with Alakli. And
Junior
we're talking,
Ajayi,
say,
yes.
9 years ago. We're talking probably 8 years ago. You understand? So how many of our players can be signed by Alakli? By Raja
Mamelodi
Casablanca?
Sundown. Raja Casablanca. That's crazy.
So that's why we cannot compete with them, because we're not even good enough to even be a part of their team. So how can we now be good enough to defeat them?
All right. Thank you for that one. Still talking about CAF Champions League and, of course, MPFL. Now, Ikorodu City are on top of the log table. I don't know how they will do it if the big guns could not make us proud. So, is it Ikorodu City that is struggling? When it comes to logistics and all. So I still don't know how they will do it if they eventually be crowned the champions of MPFL, which of course there is still Rivers United that has 5 games at hand. But let's see how it goes. Let's take a look at MPFL result. Barra 1, Kun Khalifa 0, Ekong 1, Plateau United 0, Shooting Stars 4, Warri Wolves. There is Warri Wolves 2. Daniel, there is this young footballer playing for Shooting Stars. His name is Ayobami Jr. Had another hat-trick assist for Shooting Stars over the weekend. Should he be given a chance in the Nigerian squad? Hello, Daniel. Hey, come on.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so speaking about youngsters doing well for their local teams. I mean, it's not out of place, right? For him to be given an opportunity. But we have to understand that he has to be properly assessed to know how good he really is. You understand? Because you don't expect the national team, I always say, to be a ground where talents are being harnessed. No. It's a place where the best players, the top of the top professionals are assembled to represent the country. You understand? So take for instance Alex Iwobi. He had every reason to walk straight into the national team because, first of all, he's a National Academy graduate. Was already playing for the first team under a fantastic youth developing manager, talking about Arsene Wenger, a well-respected man when it comes to football. His uncle was also former, captain of the national team.
National team.
Who would likely be the most loved Nigerian player of all time.
Yes, of course.
A lot of football fans love JJ because of the showboating and all of that. So it could have influenced for him to just walk straight into the national team. But guess what? Alex Iwobi first had to play with the under-23s. Because we have to understand that he was still a teenager at the time. He was about turning 20, but due protocol had to be because he's coming from England. He was born in Nigeria, but didn't spend much time in Nigeria before he moved to Turkey to join his uncle in the mid-90s, right? So he had to first come play with players that of his age category, you understand, and then understand how the football is playing in Nigeria. Now, for Ayobami, like you said, he already plays local, right? However, the quality of our local league and the quality of the national team is far apart. So that's why it still has to, be integrated gradually.
Yes, of course.
We understand that there are some standard performers, I mean, players like Victor Osimhen maybe wouldn't have needed too much, orientation before he stake a claim to be a top player in the national team. You understand? But he had to sit on the bench for years.
Yes, of course.
He
From
made
Wolfsburg
it into
to
the limelight
Denmark, I mean Belgium.
I'm even talking about him with the national team.
Yes, of course.
We got to know him globally in 2015 after the Under-17 World Cup. But he didn't become a first choice player until Ojo Igalo's retirement.
Ojo Igalo left. Yes, of course.
Yeah, his first appearance came nearly 2 years after the Under-17 World Cup, and he wasn't even given opportunities to play official games until Ojo Igalo retired after over 2 years. So maybe he can be a part of the squad. You understand? Train with the team and get that experience and blend himself in. But like I always say, the national team is not it's not for boys.
All right.
Yeah, for men. You can be a man at 17. But that's what I mean. Be a man and be truly talented.
All right. Thank you for that one. Daniel, let's take the other results. Eyimba lost at home, the biggest name when it comes to MPFL. Before you mention any team in the Nigerian professional football, you have to mention Eyimba first. Lost to Ikorodu City 0-1. Rangers defeated Wiki Tourist 2-0. Remo Stars once again played the 1-0 draw against Abia Warriors. Paesa United 0, Bendel Insurance, Nikola United 1, Kano Pillars 1, Kasuna United 1, Nasarawa United 0. All right, away from local football, let's move straight to foreign football. We'll be starting with the FA Cup. Arsenal powered into the FA Cup 5th round for the first time in 6 years as the quadruple chasers crushed Wigan 4-0 on Sunday, 15 February 2026. Daniel, Arsenal are on top of the log table in the English Premier League. They've qualified for second round in the Champions League. 5th round FA Cup, Carabao Cup, they are in the final. They still have chance to win at least 1 or 2 trophies this season. Do you believe?
I mean, to be honest with you, Arsenal have proven to be the team to beat. I mean, we're in February and they're already in the cup final. They are on top of the league. They topped the Champions League group phase without suffering any defeats. Not suffering any defeats. They were never trailing throughout the competition so far. You understand? So the FA Cup, like you said, they are through to the next round, the 5th round, and it's just been an impressive season. You could see the lineup that they put out against 2013 FA Cup champions in Wigan and Athletics. I mean, you see the likes of Christian Nogard. I can't remember ever watching Christian Nogard play for Arsenal. I know he's made a few cameo appearances, but I can't remember me personally watching him play for Arsenal. And it was brilliant. I mean, it was absolutely brilliant. And that's what I was still talking about, the Ayobami scenario. It goes to show the way he performed, you know that he's very familiar with these players. In spite of the fact that he doesn't get enough playing time, he definitely trains with these guys every single day. You could see his efficiency. I think he provided the assist for who scored that 4th goal again. I think it was Gabriel Jesus. Understand? So fantastic performance from him. I mean, look at Ben White. Ben White was looking a bit sloppy. Lack of game time, and for someone who he looked a bit really frustrated. I know it's easier for me to say because I know him to a certain extent. He always talks about the fact that he doesn't like to watch football sitting on the bench. He likes to play football, but not a fan of watching. So for a player who for the past 2 years has not been getting playing time, having to be condemned to play, to watch from the bench, he showed a lot of sloppiness. You saw the likes of Lewis Kelly being given an opportunity after the kind of breakout season he had last season. you should not be able to break into it. Very chasing, like you just showed on the screen. Fantastic performance, 2 assists for the first 2 goals. You know, within 8 minutes, you know, they could afford to rotate. I mean, Saka was given a new role, playing behind the striker. You know, trying to test, you know, his abilities. Yes, and to, you know, because players like David Beckham, players like Ryan Giggs, at some point were deployed as midfielders, but they
So
started as
yes, of
wingers.
course.
But because of their vision, their passing ability, you know, passing accuracy, they were deployed in that midfield role when they got to the latter stages of their career. And I think that was a brilliant one for Saka to be tried out in that position. We saw Mosquera, who has been brilliant so far this season. Kepa Arrizabalaga, every time being forward upon, also, you know, living up to the
He'll always
expectation
turn up. Yes,
of
of
his
course.
manager and the fans. Yeah, so you could see that what has been Arsenal's greatest undoing, or their excuse for the past few years of lacking squad depth, is what they put on display yesterday. I mean, 7, 8 players were not first 11 players, and they played perfectly well. Totally dominated Fulham within 20. Wigan, I beg your pardon. Within 27 minutes, the game was over. You understand? And they just took their legs off the pedal. I mean, it's not the league campaign where goals difference will come into play. You know, so that 4 goals to the good in 27 minutes was enough for them to see it out.
All right, thank you for that one, Daniel. Let's move straight to all other results. All City lost at home to Chelsea 0-4, Manchester City 2, Salford 0, Aston Villa 1, Newcastle United 3, Liverpool 3, Brighton 0, Stoke 1, Fulham 2, Arsenal 4, Wigan 0, Oxford lost to Sunderland 0-1. Away from England, let's move straight to Spain. Rayo Vallecano won to a 3-0 victory over Atletico Madrid on Sunday, 15 February 2026 in La Liga, leaving Diego Simeone's side 15 points behind leaders Real Madrid. Of course, Barcelona will be in action today, 16 against Girona, playing away from home. I know the prayers on Real Madrid fans' lips now should will be, as I mean, Barcelona should drop a point or definitely lose to Girona, which on paper I don't see that one happening. I see, Barcelona winning down. Daniel, when it comes to inconsistency, don't go anywhere. Just go straight to Wanda Metropolitano Stadium, the home of, Atletico Madrid. Today, they play 5-0, they win. Next tomorrow, they lose. Today, they win 4-0. Next tomorrow, they lose. What's going on? What's really happening with, Diego Simeone's side?
It's hard to tell. I think at this point in time, they're going for the Copa del Rey. And it looks achievable, to be honest. Real Madrid are out of the competition. They are in a very good position. They're in pole position to eliminate Barcelona from the semi-finals. So maybe, just maybe, the players channeling their energy into ensuring that they finish the season with a cup. The only likely competition that they can win at this point in time, I would say easily, will be the Copa del Rey. Because you take a look at the La Liga, no, they are far behind the way
they are just out of La Liga. They just forget about it. Just qualify for Champions League.
Yeah, understand. 15 points behind the leaders, Real Madrid. And even Villarreal and Barcelona, that are in third and second position respectively, have a game in hand.
Yes, of course.
It's obvious that they are channeling their energy into the Copa del Rey. Because you take a look at the lineup yesterday, their new prince, the new star boy, Ademola Lookman, didn't start the game yesterday.
Even Antoine
Griezmann is no longer a top level player for them. It's being managed because of Antoine is not getting any younger. By the end of the season, it turns 35. Yeah, I start. So I think it's purely a case of more focus being channeled on the Copa del Rey, and it's been yielding results for them. Their last 2 games in the Copa del Rey, they've kept clean sheets and have scored multiple goals. As compared to the league where it looks like they cannot defend to save their lives. So it's that's the clear indication for me.
All right, thank you for that one. And of course, when it comes to Real Madrid, no Mbappe, there is Vinicius Junior scored 2 goals over the weekend for Real Madrid. They defeated Sociedad 4-1. Let's take a look at other results. Elche nil, Osasuna nil. Espanyol played a 2-2 draw against Celta Vigo. Getafe defeated Villarreal 2-1. Sevilla 1-0 against Alaves. Real Madrid 4, Real Sociedad 1. Oviedo 1, Bilbao 2. Rayo Vallecano defeated Atletico de Madrid 3-0. Levante nil, Valencia 2, Mallorca. Let's take a look at today's fixtures. Girona will play against Barcelona. And of course, in Italian Serie A, AC Milan defeated Pisa 1-2, Como 1, Fiorentina 2, Lazio 2, Lazio nil, I beg your pardon, Atalanta 2. Inter Milan defeated Juventus 3-2. Sassuolo lost at home to Udinese 1-2. Parma 2, Verona 1, Cremonese nil, Genoa nil, Torino 1, Bologna 2, Napoli 2, Roma 2. In Germany, Bundesliga, Dortmund defeated Mainz 4-0, Hamburger 3, Union Berlin 2, Frankfurt 3, Mönchengladbach 0, Bremen 0, Bayern 3, Leverkusen 4, St. Pauli 0, Stuttgart 3, Cologne 1, Leipzig 2, Wolfsburg 2. In French Ligue 1, Rennes defeated PSG 3-1, Monaco 3, Nantes 1, Marseille 2, Strasbourg 2, Lille 1, Brest 1, Paris lost to Lens 0-5, Le Havre 2, Toulouse 1, Lorient 2, Angers 0, Metz 1, Auxerre 3. All right, away from foreign football, in just 1 minute, Daniel, let's talk about Qatar Open. Carolina Muchova captured her first WTA 1000 crown and her first title since 2019 with an impressive 6-4-7-5 victory over Canadian teen sensation Victoria Mboko that knocked out world number 3. In the Qatar Open final on Saturday, 14 February 2025. In the quarterfinal, we saw Sakari and, of course, Mboko knocked out world number 2 and world number 3. But in the final, Muchova all the way. What are your thoughts, Daniel?
It's a big achievement for Carolina Muchova because if you are a follower of tennis, you know that in the let's say the order of great titles, Grand Slam comes first. After the Grand Slams, the WTA finals because it's completed strictly or exclusively by the top 8 best players at that very point in time of the year. All right, so it's and it gives you more ranking points. Then followed by the Masters 1000, because the Grand Slams give you 2,000 points for winning. The WTA finals give you 1,500. And if for the men, the ATP top finals gives you 1,500 points, and then the Grand Slams, the WTA or ATP 1,000 competitions follow. This is a tennis player who turned pro well over a dozen years ago. So it's going to be 30 in 6 months from now, having to finally win a first WTA 1000 title. It's remarkable, especially because this is a player that has only won one title all her career. Only one title in her career. So having to now win the second title being a Masters 1000 competition, it's phenomenal. It's not been a very easy journey for her. She just managed to make it back into the consistently being in the top 20. Talking about in the world, because our best year was 3 years ago when she made it to the finals of Roland Garros. I talk about the French Open in 2023. But unfortunately for her, she met the then world number 1 and the most dominant player at the point in time, who was also the best player on clay. Talking about Iga Swiatek at the point in time, so she couldn't scale through. Same year in 2023, she also did well enough to make it to the semi-finals of the US Open. But at the end of the day, that was ultimately won by Popov this time. So ever since she made an appearance at the semi-finals of US Open in 2024 again. But since then, it's been very difficult for her to replicate that form that she put up in
23. But good for her, like I said, finally getting to lay her hands on a Masters 1000 title, and now she can have set her sights on you know doing greater things, because I mean her highest career ranking is 8th in the world, achieved obviously in 2023. But currently she's just wobbling around the top 20. Let's see where she can go from there, if she can become a top 10 player globally once again.
Yeah, I feel this will also boost our morale, and of course, able to make her to compete with the likes of Arina Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, and co. All right, that is how much we can take on Sports Hall on Enterprise TV 7. Endeavor to subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified of all alerts. Follow us across our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Like, share, and engage on our content. Visit our website at www.enterprisetv.com for all the news you can use, the inclusives, and the live updates. Daniel Ozege has been given on the show today. Daniel?
It's always a pleasure joining you on the show. Look forward to joining you soon enough.
All right, my name remains John Olasukomi. See you next time.